How in the world are you going to stack up 1,000 XRP, let alone 10,000 XRP when the price is so high? Or other coins like one whole Bitcoin, 21 Ethereum, 100 Solana, whatever the case might be. I know you see a lot of thumbnails that give you a lot of FOMO that make you think that you need to hurry up and get your bags right now. And while I don't think they're wrong, I do think it leaves the wrong impression. Once you start to understand crypto, in my opinion, you start to realize that more than likely this market is going to go up for the rest of your life. Just like the stock market, this is a whole new industry. But you start to also realize at the same time that you don't really have time to waste. So you have time to accumulate, but you don't have time to waste. The market comes in cycles. I know people are calling for astronomical numbers for all their favorite cryptocurrencies, but more than likely, you're going to have plenty of buying opportunities. Now, being that you don't have time to waste, there are some strategies that you can use to help yourself accumulate these coins. So today I want to share with you 4 different strategies. We're going to start with the safest and most boring route. Then we're going to go to the most volatile and exciting route. And I'm going to explain basically what they are. We're going to go through all 4 of them. And hopefully that can help you determine how you want to put these strategies in place if you decide to, in order to accumulate your bags and get yourself 10,000 XRP. Okay, so as I mentioned, we're going to go over 4 different types of investing strategies. We're going to start with the somewhat boring stuff that is the least risky, and then we're going to go into things like degen trading, which I find to be the most risky. So I got some examples here that I'm going to use to kind of help break this down. All right, so let's start with dollar cost average. Now, most people heard of this. This seems pretty boring. However, it's important to take this into consideration. So I call this the set it and forget it. This is what most people kind of view this strategy as. This is the real XRP chart, right? So, looking at the XRP chart, there's so many times where it goes so high. There's so many times where it also goes so low. And people really get confused, like, when should I buy? That's a real question that a lot of people have, especially when you're new in the crypto space. But, instead of really worrying about buying at the right time, so, what really tends to happen to a lot of people is that they get caught up right over here because of the FOMO, right? This is the weekly chart. So they'll literally buy in the worst week possible to buy XRP. And, the price just comes crashing down and we go into a bear market and they just miss out on all of the gains that they could have gotten previously, and they get so discouraged that they don't get in when it's down because it just feels like a falling knife. It's just something that just continues to go down that you shouldn't try to catch, right? So instead, you do a dollar cost average strategy. Dollar cost average is basically where you just set up, whatever dollar value you want to put into the market to buy your XRP in this example on a certain time interval. So in this case, that's every week, right? So I actually went ahead and went on the XRP chart and I looked at the different closing prices. So basically you can see at the top on the screen here the high price, the low price, and the closing price. And actually what I did was I took the high for the day. And I took the high for the 3rd of January, 10th, 17th, and 24th, and we put $50 a week. Not worrying about the prices, we're just putting $50 a week. And so we got 20.24, 21.09, you got 14.92, 15.62. At the time of recording, we haven't even hit the 31st yet. So you have your price, and then you have your purchase amount. And because you've been buying every single week, you were able to catch some of those lower prices, right? Those lower moments. You didn't miss out on any of this. And so you have an average that is lower than what the price is currently at. So your average price for January is actually $2.84, even though XRP is literally $3.17 right now. So instead of, trying to get complicated, figure out all these different chart patterns, you just do this set it and forget it strategy. And honestly, believe it or not, you'll be surprised at how much you accumulate over time. You are way better off doing this than so many other strategies out there because this is the least risky. The only thing that needs to go right for this strategy is that XRP sticks around and it goes through another bull run. That's all that needs to happen. All the banks don't need to adopt it by the next bull run or this bull run. We don't need to see it become the number one used blockchain in the world. It just needs to survive a cycle. And if you do this for the 2 years of down market that we go through, and you continue to do this through the 2 years of up market, you'll see yourself get a massive bag for XRP by just dollar cost averaging. The market comes in cycles. I know everybody thinks it's going to astronomical numbers. That's what everybody's putting on their thumbnails. And I do have my own videos that explain why we can go to those heights. But, the reality is we face cycles and there's buying opportunities. And if you set it and forget it, then you won't miss out on those opportunities. So, what are some of the pros and cons? So, the pros is, you get to buy at a relatively low price, right? So relatively, because it depends when you started dollar cost averaging. If you started right here, this is the real low price. But if you started over here, like this is a much higher price than you have here or here. But it's relatively low compared to where we are right now. It allows for better budgeting. So you don't have to one clip your whole stack, right? What I mean by one clip is just take, let's say you have $5,000. You don't have to just dump thousands of dollars immediately into the market. You just come up with a budget. You could stick to that budget and, it keeps you pretty comfortable without having to worry about selling in order to cover other expenses. That happens to too many people. You spend too much up front, end up needing to sell in order to cover expenses. And then you avoid FOMO. So you don't do this right here, right? Fear of missing out. You don't end up buying at the top here. You're just getting a nice average price. Some of the negatives is that it's boring, it's slow, and you miss out on filling your bags while the price is low. So if you understood charts and you understood the markets and you did have 5,000, you could one clip it, boom, right here when the price is low, or boom, right here, and then just let it just rise up. Whole 5,000 just, went 2, 3, 4, 5x. That'd be great. But we're not really sure when this is going to happen unless you're really, really a professional. Then you have a better idea and still not absolutely positive. And so where can you do this dollar cost average strategy? Well, just the major platforms. So you can do this on something like a Coinbase or crypto.com. As I say this out loud, I'm like, you know what? I'll put links in the description in case you're not using either of these platforms. But there's plenty of exchanges that you can use to do these strategies. Literally set your weekly buys or monthly buys, but reoccurring buys. So that's dollar cost average. Let's move on to something that I like, right? Which is lending protocols. So this is another strategy. I'll explain how it all works. So lending protocols work like pawn shops. Actually, before we do that, I do want to say this is a going long strategy. So this is if you believe that the price is going to go up eventually, this is when you would use this strategy. So I call it going long with DeFi. And I say DeFi because it's mostly DeFi that offers it with a wide variety of cryptocurrencies. There aren't many big exchanges that offer a wide variety of coins to borrow against. Okay, so a DeFi lending platform is kind of like a pawn shop, but greatly improved. And so I got the definition, or at least a breakdown from AI, what a pawn shop functions like. So a pawn shop operates by providing short-term loans to customers who bring in valuable items as collateral. So that's like the important part. Essentially, you pawn your items to get cash, and if you repay the loan within a set period, you get your item back. If you don't repay, the pawn shop keeps the item and can then sell it to make a profit. So it's a little bit different with lending protocols because they won't keep the item, or they won't keep your cryptocurrency. They'll keep what's owed to them. So if you borrowed a certain amount of money, they'll take that certain amount of money, they'll take the interest, and they'll take a penalty fee, and they'll give you the rest back. So that's the good thing about crypto. It's so divisible that you don't have to look at it as just an item. So this is why it's good to use coins rather than something like an NFT where it's non-divisible. All right, so let's explain how you can grow your XRP bag with lending protocols. So, this is you. You deposit your XRP into this lending protocol and you'll have a value, right? So let's keep it simple. Let's do $100 XRP. So your value is 600. And what'll happen is they'll allow you to borrow a certain percentage of your value. It could be like 60, 70, 80%, maybe higher on certain protocols. So I think I did 70% on the math for this one. So this is your borrowing power. So you're able to borrow up to $420. So what I did here was I actually borrowed $100 against my 6 XRP that I have here, and then go to an exchange, swap that $100 that I borrowed for more XRP. And then I take that XRP and I put it back into the deposit, and my value grows to 700. And now my borrowing power is different because I did borrow 100, but I'm also gaining more ability to borrow. So it's not like just one transaction that gets you this number. Now, the reason I would put the additional XRP that I borrowed in here is because if my borrowing power goes down to zero because my value goes down a lot, like let's say XRP went through a crazy crash, then I would get liquidated, which is what I was describing earlier, where the lending protocol would automatically close my loan by paying itself back. So it would take 300 and, well, it would take whatever I borrowed, which was $100 back from me, and it would take a penalty fee and all of the interest from my loan as well. So it's good to just deposit more XRP in here to keep yourself safe. All right. Now, one of the crazy things is, you can actually incorporate the whole dollar cost averaging strategy into these lending protocols. So this is something that I did in the past. I've had plenty of videos on YouTube where I talked about, well, I actually just demonstrated it. I did this on live streams for weeks and stacked myself up 20 plus Ethereum. It's just regular 9 to 5 job, just being consistent. I've done tutorials explaining this stuff. So I have plenty of content out there that I could share. We won't get into that right this moment because I think there's probably some updated videos that can be done as well. But you could take maybe like 10% of your dollar cost averaging strategy and use the lending protocol to help you stack your bags a lot quicker. So, you got 6 XRP, you can turn that into 7 XRP immediately, right? And obviously these numbers are ridiculous compared to what the price is. XRP is only $3 and change right now. So really you can turn, your maybe 500 or 200 XRP into like 250 XRP. And yeah, eventually you'll have to pay this loan back. But if ultimately the price of XRP goes higher, you can just sell like 1 or 2 XRP or 3 XRP or just a significantly less amount than you were able to buy at these low prices in order to pay back that loan. So that's the benefits of using this process. Or you can even just, pay it back in USD and never even sell any XRP. You just got a chance to lock in these low prices, right? All right, so what are the pluses and minuses? So one obvious advantage is you get to accumulate a lot quicker. And then 2 is that you get to take advantage of the low prices. So in the dollar cost averaging, we kind of missed out on some of the low prices because we were just doing a small amount every day. But because we're multiplying the amount that we're accumulating by borrowing money and buying more, we're able to take some advantage of these low prices. All right, and then some of the risks, right? So some of the negatives. Well, these coins are on a DeFi platform. At the end of the day, you're putting it into a lending protocol. And if it's not in your own personal wallet, then technically you're putting your coins on, at risk. If something happens to that DeFi platform, you can lose your funds. But, this doesn't just relate to DeFi platforms. It doesn't matter where you are. You could be on Coinbase. You could be on any type of exchange. Anything that's not your wallet, your personal wallet that you own the private keys to, you're risking your coins on that platform. Second thing is there's risk of liquidation. So we talked about this. If the price of XRP goes down and these 6 XRP are no longer worth $600, they're only worth $400, then, oh my goodness, my borrowing power goes down. Maybe the amount that I borrowed, it just doesn't cover enough for what I borrowed, and so I get liquidated. So I don't have enough in here to cover what I borrowed, which again is why we put more XRP in the deposit to kind of help keep it balanced. And then also you pay interest, right? So you're paying interest for whatever you borrow. You do also earn interest for what you deposit because you're technically lending it out. But you are paying higher interest when you borrow stable coins because it's just the most popular thing to borrow. You can borrow other tokens. Let's say you deposited XRP, you can borrow Ethereum, for example, but then you have to pay back in Ethereum. So most people borrow stable coins, and because it's so popular, you end up paying a higher interest. But that interest is it's lower than credit card interest, I'll tell you that much. All right. And then where can you do this? So I got one place that's the most popular one. That's Aave. So, Aave, super popular platform. Looking at their core, which is basically the Ethereum platform. So this is not XRP. They have $28 billion in assets there. So 16 available to borrow, 11 that is being borrowed. And then there's like other platforms as well. You go over to Arbitrum, there's another billion. Probably go over to like Polygon, $500 million. So like this is by far the hugest market to do that. I did kind of like touch on this a little bit in another video, but if I need to do more content to explain this in further detail, I will. All right, so now let's move on to something that I think is even more risky, but more risk, more reward, which is leverage trading. I'll call this subheading trading volatility. The reason I say trading volatility is because when the market is moving sideways, it's kind of hard to make money leverage trading or just trading in general, unless you're really a professional that knows the technicals of the charts. So this is basically like an exchange where you're able to, buy and sell cryptocurrencies, but you're able to basically magically multiply the amount that you're trading. You're able to take your 1 XRP and boom, just turn it into 10 XRP, which is insane. So how does that work, right? Well, basically you have like this meter, which you're able to set your leverage. So you're able to say, I want to set my trades to be times 5, times 10, and so on and so forth. Some of them go even higher than 100x, which is absolutely degenerate territory. Okay, so let's go ahead and just, break that down to make it simple. So your trade percentage when you're doing leverage trading, right, which is what this is, leverage trading, your trade percentage will move as much as your multiplier. So what I mean by that is right here, we're on a 10x multiplier. And basically, when I set a trade, if the price moves by 1%, I'm actually gaining 10%. But if I'm losing by 1%, I'm also losing by 10%. So I'm moving faster in either direction. Now, the good thing about these types of platforms is that you can actually do these trades based on both directions. Oftentimes you can, or in most cases, you can do this in both directions. So you can actually say, hey, I think the price is going to go lower, and basically put in a sell order. And as long as the price is going down, and if it's going down, 1%, you're getting 10% gains, right? It goes down 2%, you're getting 20% gains. And so, this is a way that a lot of people do trading with like small quantities so that they can multiply their bag a lot quicker. Obviously, knowing the technicals and whatnot is very, very beneficial for this. But the good thing that kind of mitigates some of this risk is usually on these platforms, you're able to set things called stop losses. Now, stop losses allow you to say, hey, if I lose a certain amount of money, just close my trade. So you don't get liquidated entirely. Kind of like over here, you don't get liquidated entirely, but it's just a little bit easier to set your parameters on some of these leverage trading platforms. All right, so let's talk about some of the pluses and minuses. So the benefits is that you can trade either direction of the chart, like we mentioned, and then you can use more money than you have. The exchange is essentially saying, hey, we'll loan you the money to do this trade. We'll take a little bit of a fee for it, but you get liquidated a lot quicker, or you make money a lot quicker. So you can use more money than you have. And then the negatives is that it requires some technical analysis. So you do need to know the charts, liquidation, obviously, like we just talked about. And then, I put this here because it can become gambling. Some people will make money real quick doing some leverage trading. And then next thing you know, they're just chasing that win over and over and over again. And so it can become gambling. But I think for most people, they kind of catch it really quickly. Like, okay, I lost money enough times that I'm just not going to do this anymore, or I'm going to go through some kind of a course to really teach me the ins and outs. But just something I wanted to point out. So you can do this on platforms like BidFi. This is what I've used in the past, but I don't do leverage trading at the moment. So this is what I've used in the past. BidFi, you can, go ahead, find your perpetual contract, and then you would come over here, probably choose something like isolated, and then you can increase your multiplier like we talked about. So I can trade, using like a 20x if I wanted to, or all the way up to 200x. This is completely degenerate, so don't do that, because you do 100x, that means it moves 1%. You either get 100% gain or 100% loss. That's basically what 100x does. So 200x means 0.5%, right? It just needs to move 0.5%. So it's crazy. All right. And then, so let's finally get into the last one, which is going to be degen trading. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. Amongst all these things, like, I've used all of them. I love degen trading, even though it is the riskiest. But because it's the riskiest, most people will go into degen trading with a significantly low amount of money. Like, you'll just go with a couple of bucks, right? Like, you're going in there with $100, trying to turn it into $1,000, 200 to 5,000. Like, these things really happen in degen trading, but there's a significant amount of loss that takes place as well. So the reason that degen trading is really valuable is because this typically, or it literally, lives on the decentralized market, where you are actually trading on the networks like the XRP ledger or like the Ethereum blockchain, as opposed to using one of these platforms like you would for BidFi or Coinbase. This is where anybody can launch a token. So this is where they first start out at. All of these meme coins that you see, like SHIB, or maybe not like a Doge, that's a little bit different, that's more of a blockchain. But SHIB, Pepe, some of these crazy meme coins, they all started in these DeFi markets with people trading them like degens. And so the thing is, anybody can create a coin or a token, and they can put it in a liquidity pool. I talked about liquidity pools in a previous video. They can put it in a liquidity pool and have a trading pair for XRP. And what people will do is they will do the quickest research that they possibly can to see if it's legit. There used to be time to be able to do this, but because the market has grown so much, you do very quick research, hurry up and get in to that trade, because there's very little people in it. So you're like one of the earliest people, and literally see things like 100x gains, like literally see things like 100x gains. I've gotten 100x before. Not very common. It's very hard to not be sure about what you're buying and hold on to a coin for that long. But at the same time, I've gotten them. But more commonly, you'll see a lot of like 2x's, 3x's, 5x's very commonly, and 10x's happen. But again, you're doing this with like maybe a small amount of funds. Some people will do like $50. Some people will do like $200 to $500. But when you trade back out, you will now get that new multiple. So like if you got yourself a 20x and you started with 100 XRP, which is about 300 and some odd dollars, and you got yourself a 20x, you now have 2000 XRP. And this is how people stack their bags. So the whole point of this to me is just stacking your bags and taking some risk. All right, so now let's talk about, the pluses and minuses. So you literally will multiply your coins. Like I said, you start with 100 XRP, you get the right trade, you're coming out with thousands of XRP. You do this enough times, you got your 10,000 in a couple of months. All right. The other good thing is that because you're doing so much research to try to narrow down your quick indicators, right here, you're constantly keeping up with popular crypto narratives because you're constantly doing research. Everybody in the degen territory, they know like everything about crypto. All right. And the other reason that they know everything about crypto is because they're actually using the crypto networks, which is another benefit, right? You learn about crypto because you're using the networks. You're not using Coinbase. You're using the XRP ledger. Now, the negatives are pretty obvious. So there's scams galore, rug pulls, honeypots, things of that nature. There's insiders galore. So there's a lot of people that make projects look legitimate, but they have like a whole team of people that they told about the project that are just going to take majority of the profits and kind of leave everybody else scrambling. So that's another big problem. And then I just put gambling, right? Like this can easily become gambling, even more so than leverage trading. But if you're doing enough research, then it's more just, taking a risk than it is gambling. But for a lot of people, it is absolute degenerate gambling, 100%. So, where would you start for degen trading? Well, obviously use different networks, different platforms, but one of the places that people do a lot of their research is Dex Screener. So Dex Screener is just a place to get information for all of the tokens that launch on these different networks. And I think I've shown this before. You can even look at the XRP ledger here. And on the XRP ledger, you can see the different meme coins that exist on XRP. So you can look at, who has the highest liquidity, for example. You can see, this is XP Markets. There's a couple of meme coins here, like Army, for example. Let's check out Army. They're up 27% in the past 24 hours, 3.4 million in liquidity. And like most people don't even know about this, more than likely. So like you can be an early investor in this. And then if the market cap goes up to, I don't know, 200 million, you get yourself almost a 4x. So if you start with 200 XRP, you swap for this. And then when it goes up 4x, depending on the price of XRP, you'll get yourself, 4 times the amount of that XRP. Now, it's not that simple, so I don't want it to just sound like go ahead and just try this right now. But this, as much as it is risky, I genuinely love keeping up with all the new crypto narratives and being one of the early investors. But I'm doing this a lot less because I just want to just buy XRP and stack it. So for me, I'm more so focusing on dollar cost averaging and keeping something you call dry powder to the side, which is just like having some side money for when an opportunity presents itself. Maybe I'll do a degen trade, or I'll just buy me like a big stack of XRP all at once. So I know that this kind of just describes what these investing strategies are, but there's a lot more to actually getting set up and doing it. So, let me know in the comment section, engage, like the video, tell me what more details you want to see, and I'm willing to just kind of go into that. So I hope you guys appreciated this and learned something. I'll catch you on the next vid. I'm out of here. Peace.